one ever finishes the video. So here is my thesis laid out. Read it and then leave, because I know you're not going to finish the video. We're talking about this whole suppression word, radio regulation with Drake's What Did I Miss, right? Landed at number 2. And while most of the time I'd rather just make my video and go, I need to make a follow-up video to really deep why I'm trying to push back a bit on what Drake is saying, not because I think he's completely wrong, but because words mean things. Okay, let's start with number 1. Okay, because let me show you his original. Hey, original post, suppressor on the number 1 spot. That is what I'm trying to correct here. Okay, and words mean things. Don't use that word. What he's right about, rule changes and all. Okay, so he's speaking like a road mountain in this point, in my opinion, like a professional road mountain in them, right? So that's part of the issue here. So let's go back to my thesis. Okay, suppression is a careless word to use. It's just galvanizing your fans and taking advantage of the fact that some of them don't know how things work. Suppression comes from suppressing, which is to forcibly put an end to prevent the development of. Okay, in this case, all right, Drake has a grievance about a rule change from Billboard, okay? But however, when he uses the suppression word, you guys think about UMG, who he is in litigation with. It conflates things, okay? So remember, actual problem you have is with Billboard because of this tomfoolery. I get it, right? The amount of sales, the amount of streams, the amount of airplay. He lands at number 2. He's only getting 2%. I understand that, okay? So this is the whole, right? This is the issue, right? But remember, this is Billboard. Billboard would be like the gaming commission or the referee, the rules committee here. And what they did is they made a change, okay, and how streams are calculated, paid, non-paid streams, and how radio is weighted, right? So I get it. But what really the key thing here is that Drake is airing out a grievance that I think affects the rap genre as a whole, but he's paying the price the most as the most streamed rapper, okay? And what do I mean by that? So if you're telling me that radio now is super important to how you're going to weigh what, goes on a Hot 100, well, guess what, guys? Urban music, rap, especially when Drake is making a song that's closer to rap, is not the most radio friendly place. Like country and pop dominate these areas. So let me show you something, okay? I'm not here to defend UMG because this is actually not a UMG issue. We will talk about UMG in a second. This is an issue that he has with the committee that decides how these things work. He has a problem with regulation, not suppression, okay? So you can see, like, I'm not even going by total radio stations. It's like almost, I think, 15,000 radio stations or something like that. It'd be a hard sell to try to tell you how many radio stations actually play hip hop. But let's just go by like consumer insights on, what America likes to listen to when they listen to the radio. So remember, rap is the most streamed genre, right? So anytime a rap record drops, you're going to get strong streams, right? Younger people stream, right? But radio audiences, they like to listen to rock, alternative, indie. You go into shops, you go into gyms, right? Then country next. Pop, adult, contemporary. Then you get R&B, rap. And sometimes some stations are just R&B. I don't know why they like to group R&B and rap together sometimes like this, but urban music. And then you get news, comedy, weather, right? So the idea is the market share is smaller, right? So regardless of how good a song is doing on streaming, especially when a song first drops, how much radio play are you really going to get, right? So hence, this is more regulation, right? Well, like he said on Red Button, the most decorated, whatever, Billboard got me regulated. That's the right word. I fixate on things like this because they're so important, and I don't want people to be led astray, okay? Now, stop it right there. To even furthermore prove my point, right? This is Billboard's radio chart. So basically, they're doing the work for us. They go see who's getting all the radio plays and all things like that. And look at this list. Look, this is other than like Kendrick, Luther, which again, that's like a mix of rap and R&B, but it's also a pretty poppy song. Anxiety, a pretty poppy song. What rap songs do you see on this list? Nokia isn't even technically a rap song. Right? That's like rap again mixed with poppy or house music or whatever vibes. Then you get Kendrick Lamar, Peekaboo, and Squabble Up. And notice those songs, how long have they been out? They've been out for months now. And that's kind of going to also go to my next point, which is, yo, dog, music takes forever to get going on radio. We're going to talk about the labels role in this in a second. But I remember we had this conversation about Nokia. Y'all told me Nokia was getting suppressed. Somebody loved. Now, this isn't the end all be all, but when you look at things like rhythmic radio, like look, we're in fucking July. Drake is the only artist with multiple songs charting on the top 10 of the US rhythmic radio with Somebody Loves Me and Nokia. Dog, them songs came out in February. Right? Now it's doing well on radio. When it wasn't doing well on radio, I told y'all, hey guys, it's doing pretty okay on radio. Radio was old as shit. It's archaic, right? My bottom part here may be a conclusion, which is Drake may have a gripe with his label now on how his records are being pushed to the radio, but at the end of the day, we have the cognizant, while there is payola, there are relationships, the labels don't just flick a button and the radio plays the songs all day, right? Everything I lay it out to you guys right now still matters, right? And one thing I want to point out now, because you might be saying, well, then if it's not been suppressed, how did he used to go number one before? And this is why I said I have a problem with him saying suppression. Because when he did say Billboard's got him regulated, then he was still going number one, like First Person Shooter went number one, because the songs performed well on iTunes. That's what J. Cole said. A lot of people bought it well on iTunes. And I think he was streaming a lot better. And that goes to my last video about Drake resistance. So while normally hip-hop artists will struggle now with the rule changes on the Hot 100 because, radio is king and everything, and we don't get that much radio play anymore, Drake was getting so many streams that it didn't matter. And I think there's now Drake resistance that he's got to knock that wall down. So slowly but surely, you see, what did I miss with, I think, 23 million streams or something like that first week? Before, Drake might have maybe got like 30-something million, right? Or whatever the case might be. So it would make up for the fact that he wasn't getting immediate radio play. But back to this. It takes time, and radio can often be the Facebook of music. And not only that, it's archaic because it's slow as hell to get the news and information. But when it catches up to streaming, sometimes it's a lot about the demographics. They have to get used to something. They have to, slowly walk them into them. I know to you and your young mind, you think it's Drake. It shouldn't matter. Drake gets streams, so all the old 50-year-olds should want to know. Sometimes they don't want to hear that shit, especially what did I miss, right? It takes a little while. All in all, back to this airplay number and Drake's label. Some of you have also contacted me, especially on Elon's app, and said, well, okay, let's compare what I missed to like maybe a Not Like Us or like Squabble Up, which got, I think, some like 5 million, some 2.2 million in first week airplay. And I just want to point out that is where the gripe might have to be had with the label, which is were you always used to not getting, a radio package ready and submitting to the directors? Like, how do you always move with Drake? But at the end of the day, the last kind of stopgap I have to put there is, as long as UMG can make money off of Drake, it behooves them, okay, to do everything they can to make his songs successful, especially because they're in litigation. So therefore, it is cognitive. It just doesn't make sense for them to suppress him. His gripe is with Billboard's regulation, which affects most of hip hop. He's the leading hip hop numbers guy, so he's seen the worst of it. Thank you for coming, my